I had to wake up extremely early this morning so I could wash these locks before my retail appointment. So yeah. But I'm back from my retail appointment. That was at 12 o'clock p.m. earlier today. So I'll let you get a good look at them. Hopefully you guys can get a pretty good view of how they look. Now, how the retail is. My loctician said they're shaping up pretty well. They're coming along nicely. I will officially be 4 months next week, so that's super exciting. It's been an interesting journey. So that was me back in January, exactly 5 months ago as of yesterday. Obviously, I definitely do not have those now. Um, and if you're wondering how we got here from those starter Sisterlocs 5 months ago, the answer is pretty simple. I combed them out. I thought it would be pretty cool if I documented how I feel months after doing so. So if you're interested in the whole thought process as to how I currently feel now, almost 5 months after that previous clip and over 2 months after I actually combed them out, stay tuned. All right, so let's start at the beginning. So a few years ago, I locked my hair for the very first time, but that time I got starter traditional locks. Originally, when I was going through the process of deciding how I wanted my parts and what type of locks I wanted to get, the sizing and things of that nature, I knew right off the bat that I wanted really small locks. I loved thick locks, but I knew for me personally, I wanted small locks because I wanted a lot of them. During the time when I was doing doing the research for that before I went through the process of actually getting my starter locks put in, I stumbled upon Sisterlocs. And I originally didn't know very much about Sisterlocs. I thought that they were something similar to traditional locks as well, but just something very, very small and of course done and retwisted a different sort of way. But during the time that I researched, I discovered that it is something that is completely different from traditional locks. And so during that time in which I researched as well, I also discovered because it's so different and it takes so much time to go through the install, it is also very expensive to get them done. Well, I didn't want to quite go through that process at that point in time to save up that money and get them done. So I got the next closest thing I could, which was extremely small locks. They weren't nearly as small as what Sisterlocs were, but they were definitely small. And I'll try and insert a picture somewhere over here so you can kind of take a look at them. So I went through that process. I loved them. I had so much fun doing different sorts of styles, or at least a little bit. I didn't want to quite disturb them while they were starting to go through the process of um, budding and things of that nature. So I didn't do very much, but I had a fun time with those locks. Well, about 4 months, almost maybe 4.5 months into that first journey, I got the big itch to comb them out and cut off my hair. For about 2 weeks or so, I fought that itch really heavily because I knew that I really did want to go through the process of having locks. It had been something I've been talking about for a while and something I've really been interested in, but I just couldn't shake that itch. And so I talked to my mom about it, and she literally just told me, well, there's no point of you going through the process of getting another retie, because at that point I was about to come up on my 5th month retie, if I really had this serious itch to possibly cut off all my hair. So instead of me wasting my money and getting another retie, I started the process of combing them out. Well, technically my mom helped comb them out, so shout out to you, mama, you the real MVP. um but she helped comb them out, and after combing them out, I went to go see my friend who is a stylist. Shout out to you, Simone, if you're watching this. And I told her I wanted her to cut off my hair. Now, Simone fussed at me because Simone was also the same person that installed those solder locks. And she fussed at me because she said that they were starting to shape up really beautifully and they were pretty. And she was excited to see how they were going to look on me. And now I want to cut off my hair. But you know, I am a woman. We're allowed to change our minds. So she went through the process of chopping off all of my hair, and I got what I guess would be considered a bit of a 90s bowl shape mushroom cut. I loved it. It was super pretty. If I can, I'll try and insert a picture of that somewhere over here as well. And so I rocked that for a few weeks, a month or so, and then I got the itch to cut my hair again. So that time when I went to go cut my hair, I got it cut much shorter, and I'll try and insert a video somewhere over here as well of when I got my hair cut all off. So at that point when I got it cut, I only had a little bit of curls right here in the middle of my head. Everything else was pretty much cut very low on the sides and in the back. And I love that cut, still love that cut. I may just go and do that cut, who knows, a few months from now, just because I have a serious love for short hair. But anyways, I wore that cut for a while, and then I eventually started going through the process of growing back out my hair because I knew that I wanted to lock my hair again. And this time I had decided that I was going to actually get what I truly, truly wanted, which was Sisterlocs. So over the course of a year or so, I went through the process of growing out my hair. And let me just say that process was frustrating as all get out. But I went through the process of growing out my hair. And then when it got to a certain point, I finally started making the big go for trying to find an actual consultant in the Little Rock area that could do my hair. Now, if you're from Arkansas like me, you know that if you check the Sisterlocs website, there are no, or at that point in time, there were no certified consultants on the Sisterlocs website. And that is one thing that they suggest is for you to get a certified consultant. If you're going to get Sisterlocs, that way if anything goes wrong, they aren't doing their job, or you aren't satisfied with a job, you'll have that backup of the Sisterlocs brand to go to just in case. So in doing my research to try and find someone, I could not find anybody certified in the central Arkansas area. And I was really worried about that. I thought that maybe I would have to go to Texas or I would have to go to Memphis to find somebody. Until one day I started noticing different women that were regular shoppers at my previous job that had Sisterlocs. And finally I broke down and asked one of them, hey, who does your hair? And please tell me that they're in this area. And of course they were. They gave me her name and her number. And I got in touch with her about doing a consultation because at that point I was able to see her work up close, which is another thing that they mentioned. If you're going to get Sisterlocs, try and get someone whose work that you can definitely see up close so that you can make sure of what you're getting into, since Sisterlocs are expensive and they are an investment. So I got in touch with her. We did a consultation, and the consultation was sometime in August, during my birthday month. And so I was very, very excited about that. And so when we did the consultation, she put about 5 starter Sisterlocs or test locks in the middle of my head. And so I originally wanted to try and get my locks done before my birthday that month in August, but she was not only about to go on a vacation a week after we did my consultation, but she also was extremely booked up until that point in time. She is a poppin' loctician. She's great at what she does. Shout out to you, Miss Shauna, if you ever do see this. And she's about her business. So she was completely booked, and the closest she had to a opening was in October. So I set my appointment for October, and during that time I had to walk around with about 5 starter Sisterlocs in the middle of my head. It looked really weird having them in the middle of a teeny weeny afro, which is why you won't be seeing any pictures. So don't even ask. But I made it work for the time being. And then, of course, in October, the time came for me to get my install. My install happened over the course of 2 days, which is actually relatively good considering all the videos that I watched of people that got installs over the course of 3 days and a week and 2 weeks. So that was actually really good. Alright guys, my bad. My camera decided it wanted to cut itself off in the middle of me talking. Rude. But anyways, as I was saying, I got my Sisterlocs installed over the course of 2 days, and then at that point I was well on my way to starting my second lock journey, but this time with Sisterlocs. So I definitely enjoyed that time immensely. But as with the first journey, going into my fourth, almost fifth month, I was starting to catch that urge of wanting to cut my hair again. But unlike the first time, I decided that I'm going to press through this. I know this too shall pass. So I kept going through the journey. Then the time came when I moved to Texas in February, which of course was a month after the first clip that you saw. And I still had my Sisterlocs, still loved them, still was fighting the urge to cut them off, but still was loving them. But the urge was continuously getting stronger to want to cut my hair. And eventually about, I would say it's June now, middle of March, late March, I got an offer for the current job that I'm at now. And before going into training, I had to make the decision what I wanted to do. Previously, up until that moment, I had kind of been winging it. I hadn't had a retie since the day before I left to move to Texas, which of course was in February. So I had kind of been winging it, and I had a decision to make whether I wanted to keep my Sisterlocs or whether I wanted to cut my hair. At that point, I was growing frustrated because I hadn't been able to find anyone here in Texas that could do my Sisterlocs. And it wasn't because there was nobody here, because this is a bigger market, so there was plenty of people. I was just not willing to give up my loctician in Little Rock because I loved her so much. So that made it extremely difficult for me to want to try and find somebody here. Plus, on top of that, being that I am in Texas now, it is a much bigger market. So being that it's so saturated with so many different consultants, there are, well, I guess what I'm trying to say is it would be much more expensive to maintain maintenance because there are so many people within this area that I live in, the Dallas area. So that was another factor into my decision. So thinking about all of that, and the main factor of me not wanting to give up my loctician in Little Rock, I finally came to the decision that I wanted to cut my hair. So over the course of 2 very, very, very long weeks, I went through the process of combing out my hair. I don't know what made me think I wanted to go through that process. I don't know if it was some of the videos that I saw making it seem like it was possible. Very well could have been those videos, but I would definitely have to say I was crazy to try and do that. Obviously, I got it done, but it was just such a hard process, y'all. My back and shoulders and neck, head, my entire body ached for weeks on end after I finally got them combed out. But what I will say is that it did show me that I can definitely do it. And I also will say that my hair grew a lot during that 5 months or so of me being starter Sisterlocked. I went from having a teeny weeny afro to my hair being back down past my shoulder, just in that little bit of time. So it definitely was a great process, and I don't regret going through it, and I don't regret where I am now. which brings me to the answer of that question of how I currently feel now that I no longer have my Sisterlocs. I still feel great. I miss having Sisterlocs, but I don't regret the decision that I made because I still love my natural hair regardless. Currently, as you can see, I do have a bit of a bob, and I'll turn around so you can kind of see how it looks from each angle. So here it is from the side, my right side, the center, of course, the left side, and then of course the back. As you can see, my hair is shorter in the back and then it gets longer, bit of an angle bob as it goes toward my face. So I love my bob. As I said, have a major obsession with short hair. So I don't regret where I currently am in my natural journey. And I'm not going to regret if I decide that tomorrow I want to take a pair of scissors to my head and cut off even more of my hair. I love being natural. It is something that is just really delved into my spirit. At this point, I have not really worn my hair curly since getting it cut into this bob style a few weeks ago. That is something I definitely do want to try because I do miss my twist outs and my braid outs and things of that nature. So I would say to stay tuned for that because we're definitely going to see how all of that looks with this bob cut that I have. But overall, as I said, I don't regret making the decision to comb them out and get my hair cut. I'm extremely happy with how everything is right now, and I'm looking forward to where my natural hair journey is going to take me next. Hopefully you guys will look forward to that too and come along on this journey with me. But until next time, remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.